How's it going, guys? My name is Franco and welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing our October monthly analysis for what is to come in the crypto markets, hopefully for October and well into the future basically. Now we are a little bit late to this one, sorry. So we normally do this on the first of each month, but I have been on holidays, so this one's coming out a little bit later, but it's all going to be relatively the same. Hopefully not much is different from the first. So let's start off with, we always start off with Bitcoin, then we'll go into Ethereum and a couple of altcoins that we occasionally look at. Now with Bitcoin, we look a lot at the 4-year cycle, which we've got on screen. This is our chart for the 4-year cycle, where essentially we've got our, we'll start from the red stage. We've got 1 year down roughly, 2 years across to the prior all-time high, and then we have 1 year of a parabolic stage essentially. So we've got our 1 year down, 2 years sideways and up towards the all-time high, and then 1 year of our parabolic run essentially. So where are we in the 4-year cycle currently? So based off of our theory is that we've had our parabolic bull market, we've had our 1 year down, we are now in the 2-year period, the 24 months, where we basically go sideways and up towards the prior all-time high at the end, which is, our target is breaking out of the prior all-time high by around December 2024 based on this theory. Now with the 4-year cycle, this is heavily related to the Bitcoin halving, which we can see our black line indicates the Bitcoin halving coming up in April 2024. And what we were saying last month is that typically prior to the halving, we get a bit of a churn period, is what we're calling it. So essentially, you can see that in the prior cycles, we have this period, it might be a few months, it could be longer. You can see this period here was quite longer compared to the prior cycle, where basically Bitcoin doesn't really do anything. Typically happens roughly halfway through the 24-month blue period, or the accumulation period, you could call it. And it seems like we are in that period right now. I did a tweet on this a while ago. So this is from April 21st, I believe. It's basically that likely entering the Bitcoin, the churning stage pre-halving for Bitcoin, where essentially you can see this was a little bit ago, where we're up to now. It's we've bounced away a little bit, but it looks like Bitcoin is just going to be going up. It's going to be going down. It could be doing a whole bunch of different things right now, but ultimately this is just kind of part of the cycle where nothing is going to really happen here. This is where the bulls are going to get wrecked. They're going to get over bullish at the highs, and bears are going to get wrecked because they're going to get ultra bearish at the lows. If you remember, it's a little bit hard to remember here, but when Bitcoin was looking at breaking some of these lows previously, and if I can get a little bit closer, on these monthly candles where it looked like we were going to break down on the June low, things were looking terrible on Twitter. You would have thought that we were in, the greatest depression ever seen in the history of mankind, but that wasn't to be. We bounced away from that, and things are still quite bearish. There are a lot of people who are ultra bullish. It's a really confusing time in the crypto space. I'd say if you were, to just jump in right now and try and base your analysis off of Twitter or off of YouTube or something like that, people seem to be on the ultra extremes, and that's where a lot of people are going to get wrecked, because the stage we are in right now seems to be the churn stage. This is where people are going to, lose a lot of money. They're going to sell out of positions because they don't feel comfortable. It's going to be hard to read the market, because you can see, if we go back down to here, this one less so, but you can see we a massive pump. What's the high here? Up to $504 compared to the close, which was at $376. That's dollars, and you can see that there was just this period where Bitcoin could not close above that about 450, that $450 level, and that would have had people very concerned, thinking that this is the end. They would have had bulls thinking that this is the start of a great bull market. It would have been a confusing time to be in crypto. Same back with 2019, obviously a huge run up from the lows, and then just a massive bleed into the COVID dump. And of course, I wasn't, fortunately, not in Bitcoin at that time, but I could imagine the fear of dropping, just absolutely enormous. What is it? The low of $3,883 compared to the high at 9,200. That is a massive move. That's about 100%, or actually almost 200% move from the low to the high. So, these periods in the Bitcoin market are quite turmoil. They're hard to read. That's kind of what we're saying here, is that we are likely just in this churn stage. It's unless something absolutely significant happens to invalidate our theory that by December 2024, roughly, that we will get towards our previous all-time high of 69,000. Unless something enormous happens to invalidate that, that's where we're sitting right now. Whatever happens in the interim, we go up, we go down. It doesn't really matter too much, so long as we can hold, significant lows, such as the, November lows, such as the March low. Things seem to be okay for our December 2024 target. Now, if we break this down just a little bit more and have a look at it on the daily chart, so we've been looking at these periods of essentially nothing, accumulation, and then big pumps, nothing, big pumps, nothing, big pumps, or nothing, dump, nothing periods. So we don't need to worry too much about that, but what we really want to look at here is the fact that a lot of people are very, very bearish on Bitcoin right now, but the simple matter of fact is that if we have a look, all these black lines that we've got marked out, these are our monthly swing lows, and we haven't broken a single monthly swing low. The matter of fact is that currently, as the market stands, we've got higher highs, or even up on this one, and higher highs would be this one, and higher lows, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So higher highs and higher lows obviously suggest an uptrend, which is fantastic for Bitcoin. So we're still in an uptrend. Even on the daily chart, we are in an uptrend. We've got higher lows and higher highs across the chart. So that is all well and good so far. So as much as it seems like a pretty bad situation, people calling this to be a head and shoulders pattern, it's a bit preemptive, especially if we have a look at the halving. The halving is so very close. This is going to be a significant event in Bitcoin. We've seen it time and time again that post the halving, it's essentially bull market territory 9 times out of 10. And what we have seen, and what we were talking about with the pre-halving churn, so before the halving, we can expect a lot of weird movement. We saw with 2019 the COVID dump. It's not necessarily going to be that extreme, because COVID hopefully doesn't happen again in 2023 or 2024, but it can be a very turmoil place to be. But the simple matter of fact is right now is that the monthly swing lows are still intact unless something changes, unless these are taken out. So far, there's no real reason to be overly bearish, and there's also no reason to be overly bullish currently. The simple matter of fact is that right now is probably the time to be dollar cost averaging into strong coins. I'm not talking about Dogecoin. I'm not talking about Shiba Inu. I'm not talking about your random $100 million market cap coin. I'm talking about Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, but we'll have a look at a second at the Bitcoin dominance to see that it's really currently in this market condition, it's really just Bitcoin you should be looking at. That dollar cost averaging around this area, around this pre-halving churn, during the pre-halving churn, is a great potential idea. Of course, assuming that nothing significant happens to invalidate our target, because of course, if I can find it, is it up here? We're looking at a very, very big target here of December 2024 being breaking the all-time highs of 69,000, assuming the 4-year cycle stays intact. So that's a big call right now, but it seems to be so far so good. Of course, there's a lot of movement yet to happen, so we're yet to see how exactly it plays out, but so far it is so good. Now onto Bitcoin dominance. So we're back on my Twitter. So I made this tweet on August 14th. So that is quite a while ago now, where we were basically saying the Bitcoin dominance looks super duper strong. You can see it's quite basic technical analysis, but we've got overhead resistance, which we broke out of, came back and retested, and we're on a strong trend line. You can see I broke it down, that I was basically just saying, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the 5th attempt we break out, and then we retest, and it looked like we were going to shoot off. Now, of course, things didn't play out exactly like that. They had to play with my heart a little bit and, make me look terrible at what I do. But so if we retested, so this is where I think we made the tweet. Did I say August 14th? It would have been around here somewhere, July, August 14th. So it would have been right before this big dump here. I was super bullish on Bitcoin dominance, and then of course it dumped on me, but it was just nothing but a fake out. So it came back down and actually retested the prior support line, which, as we said, we got one, kind of two, three, four test of this trend line roughly, and then on the fifth one we broke out. We came back and retested, and now we're shooting back up. We've got 8 green candles on the Bitcoin dominance. That is the weekly chart, of course. And what we were saying on the tweet is that we are more than likely going to come up and retest this box here. Whether it's, we could just come back and hit that 52% and get rejected. Of course, that's, I mean, if you want the Bitcoin dominance to go up, that's probably worst case scenario. But the best case scenario here is that we come up and retest the higher ranges of 58%, potentially even shoot up a little bit higher towards 60 if you want to get into the cryptoverse or something like that. That could be where you're looking to go towards. Of course, where we shoot up to is anyone's guess at the moment, but I think somewhere in this box, it's a pretty big box, of course, but I think it's a pretty safe bet to say that we're going to end up here. And that's why when we're talking about dollar cost averaging during the Bitcoin churn, we should probably be looking at our bigger, stronger coins, essentially, like Bitcoins, maybe Ethereums, but you don't want to be looking at random altcoins, because ultimately at this stage in the market, it just looks like they're just going to lose value against Bitcoin, which is, of course, if you're looking at opportunity cost, yes, your altcoin might be going up in terms of dollar value, but compared to Bitcoin, it's going to be losing value. So why would you take the risk of investing in, Dogecoin, where you could lose a lot more to the downside in hopes of gaining a return, when in reality it's actually just losing value against Bitcoin, which is a far, far safer asset compared to a lot of those meme coins. So time will tell with the Bitcoin dominance as to where it goes. Hopefully it does shoot into this range. I think that would be good for the bull market as a whole. We want to see Bitcoin kind of reset itself as the dominant coin, and then the bull market can sort of continue and go parabolic and whatever else. That's typically what we'll see. Now onto Ethereum. So you can see that the Ethereum chart is very, very different to the Bitcoin chart, and that's why we're talking about the dominance and everything else. So Ethereum is far weaker at the moment. You can see we had this big contention point. We've been talking about this for a while now. Now it lands around that $1,900 range. It doesn't matter exactly where it is, but it's around $1,900, $2,000, whatever, where ETH continues to come around, test it. We've seen rejection, support, just a completely clean break. But you can see there's a little bit of support around here. We had a couple months where it tried to stay away from it. Another rejection, a rejection, and a rejection again. And you can see now, not only have we been rejected, 1, 2, 3 times, we've now been sent down. We've broken the trend line that we've been looking at from these lows. It looked like it could have held in, on this big green candle for the week in September, but it's continued to break down. And now we've really got to look at something like the 50% level here, from these highs here to these lows. So if this can hold, maybe not all is done yet, but ultimately ETH looks severely weaker than Bitcoin at the moment, because if you remember what we're looking at with Bitcoin, now this is a daily chart, of course, but you can see here that we're looking at higher highs, higher lows, I keep mixing those two up, and higher highs, across the chart. Same with the daily. If we just look at the daily here, we've got higher highs and, I've mixed them up again, higher lows, and higher highs along the top. So whereas we compare this to Ethereum, we've got lower highs and lower lows currently on the weekly chart. So Ethereum is far weaker than Bitcoin right now. That is reflected in the Bitcoin dominance chart. Bitcoin dominance is going super strong. So this is what we're talking about, where perhaps the time to be in Bitcoin is now. Bitcoin looks far stronger than a lot of the other assets, but Ethereum is far, far weaker right now. Now let's move on to an altcoin, which is Crow. Sorry, as we said, altcoins are far, far weaker right now than Bitcoin, which we can see clearly see in Crow. We've got lower highs and lower lows currently in the market, but we are talking about this being a general bottoming pattern around these lows here. It seems that the lows are losing a lot of steam. Essentially, they're getting weaker and weaker, and we're looking at this big candle here, the November 2022 candle, being our selling climax, and then basically this whole pattern here. I'll draw a box for you just so it's a bit clearer. Hang on, get a box. So this whole range around here being just a big bottoming pattern, however it works out to be. It could take months, it could take us, years for Crow to bottom. It could, do something like this before we break away. It could take a very, very long time, but we are looking at it being a bottoming pattern for Crow. So whether you could be game enough to start buying Crow around these levels, but I would say we really just want to wait. We've got a lot of these monthly swing tops that we want to look at breaking. So obviously we start off with the most recent at about 6 cents. If we can, start to break above these, consolidate above, look to push higher, that would be ultra bullish. I think things really, I think this 10-cent range is going to really, the 10-cent range is really going to be the point of contention. Obviously, 10 cents is a bit of a mental figure for whatever, it's like Bitcoin $100,000 or Bitcoin, $10,000. Those kind of mental numbers, the nice round whole numbers, that's where a lot of contention will be put around, because people, for whatever reason, it's just a mental level. It makes people trade differently or something. And you can also see here that it's in history. It has been, a point of support and also a point of resistance. So I think the 10-cent range is going to be the big one. But ultimately, we need to see breaks above prior monthly swing tops and form higher lows and higher highs for Crow. So we're not at that point yet. We're still seemingly a long way away from that yet. So only time will tell. But that's basically it, I think, for our monthly analysis. Now, of course, we are at 172 subscribers. So if you did enjoy, let's try and boost that up to about 200, I'm thinking would be a good number. But if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them down below. I'd also have some referral codes that you can use if you're interested in signing up to any exchanges or something like that, whatever's down there. Feel free to use them. Anyways, you guys have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.